What's up guys, Rafal here with Unplugged Productions, and in this video I'm going to be diving into how I filmed the promotional video for the coffee table book you just saw. For this shoot, I used my Sony a7S III and switched between a Sony 50mm, 85mm, 90mm macro for the detail shots, a Canon 100mm macro, and a Sigma 18-35. For the Sigma, because it's a crop sensor lens, I could only use it at 35mm to avoid as much vignetting as possible. I could have switched my camera to shoot at 1080p to crop in on the sensor, but I'd rather film at 4K and do any of the cropping myself. For the lights, I used the Godox SL200 with a QRP120 dome, an SZ150 with a snoot, and a large bounce board for some fill. Going into this video, I wasn't sure how I wanted to approach it, but one thing I was sure about was that I did not want to make it just a standard product video. I wanted to try something different and create more of a trailer for this book. In order to find the right inspiration, I went on over to Epidemic Sound to find some tracks. It took a minute, but once I found the right track, I started visualizing how this video was going to come together. Before I could actually start writing down the shots, I needed to remind myself that the point of this video was to promote a book that was showcasing an artist's work. That meant that it didn't matter how flashy my shots were if the audience wasn't compelled to go buy the book after watching the video. So make sure you always keep the point of the video at the top of your head while planning. The very first shot of the book has it silhouetted against one of Michael's paintings. I knew this was going to be my opening shot because a day earlier, while filming Isaac taking photos of Michael, I saw how the sun was hitting one of the walls and I absolutely loved it. So I made sure to note what time it was so that way I could be ready for it the next day. This book is about Michael's journey as an artist. It shows his story from his humble beginnings up to the success he's made to this day. So I wanted the audience to know that this isn't just a book of paintings and stories. It's also a collection of all the hard work Michael put into his career. So my plan was to shoot the book against one of his paintings and show text that explains what went into his career. All the paint he's used, all the miles of tape, all the hours spent, and then we see the book. To create this shot, I bought this book stand on Amazon and had it placed about 15 feet away from the painting. Again, I knew that the sun was going to be hitting the painting with this awesome texture, so I didn't need to worry about lighting it. For the book, I placed my SL200 on a C-stand with a boom arm in order to make sure that the stand wasn't going to be in the shot. I placed my camera on a Rhino slider which was mounted on 2 light stands. This was going to make the opening shot dolly in on the book. I set the slider to move automatically so that way I can let it work on its own while I focused on turning on the light at the right time to reveal the book. Afterwards, I had Michael enter the frame, take the book, and walk out. Oh, that's so good. Like an hour and a half of setting up for a 10-second shot. Filmmaking. Before tearing down this setup, I filmed a couple close-ups of the book itself. I used the Sony 90mm macro lens to get nice and close to the book and really catch the details of the cover. The book was a little scratched up, but luckily Michael had another copy that we could use. To avoid putting any fingerprints on this new one, I wore cloth gloves, but they did make filming a little harder since they were pretty slippery, and so I had to be much more careful holding on to anything. I'm gonna tear this stuff down and then we're gonna move to the second setup where Michael is like looking through the book and like showing off everything, so that's next. We only had a couple hours to film the rest of the video, so I opted to use just one key light for the rest of the shoot. Originally, I planned on using a gimbal for a couple of the wider shots, but because of time, I went handheld and just kept the camera as steady as possible. ND filters all day, every day, so that way all you have to do is just twist it and boom, you're properly exposed. I wanted to feature the artist that this book was about, so I had Michael act as the reader, which let me show the book as it was going to be perceived in the hands of any of its owners. Michael wanted a moment where we saw the matted and glossy cover, so I sat him down and had him inspect both the front and the back of the book. This allowed the light to bounce off the book differently and show that part of the cover was matted and part of it was glossy. Yes! Yes! Ah! I filmed a couple shots of Michael looking through the book and then got up on the couch to get shots of the pages. There were specific things in the book that Michael wanted to showcase, like the foreword and the introduction to the book, so I made sure to prioritize those. After that, I wanted to open up to a couple of his more colorful pages to show off just how packed this book is. During these shots, I used a polarizer to take out some of the glare that was caused by the key light. Without it, we wouldn't even see what was on the pages. Polarizers are a really handy tool to have in your kit because they can help minimize glare on windows and glasses, and they can also make your skies bluer and more vibrant. I know there have been a couple of times where I was kicking myself because I had to rearrange lights or cameras to avoid glares when a simple polarizer could have saved me the hassle. So make sure you have one of these in your kit. Right now, I'm just having your face right now because I want to make sure you're featured as well. I'm just going to catch your eyes looking from page to page, so just kind of do whatever feels natural for you. In order to give myself more flexibility in the editing room, I filmed some close-ups of Michael's eyes shifting from one page to another. But I saw that he was a little too contrasty, so we popped in a large bounce and used the knuckle on the C-stand to hold it in place. This gave Michael's face much more detail and made it less moody. This also brightened up the side of the book. I wanted to show just how thick this book was, so I had Michael flip another page onto the stack as I was filming to create some emphasis on how much this book had to offer its readers. Then it was time for the final setup. After we saw what's inside the book, I wanted it to be closed and left alone on the table, sort of leaving it as it will appear in people's homes, not just as a book, but also as a nice decoration for the living room. So we set my camera up on a boom arm to create a top-down shot of the table. I popped the snoot onto my Godox SZ150 and positioned it just so that it was scraping onto the table. This gave a nice accent of light for a little extra flavor. It wasn't completely necessary, just my creative preference. I used the Monitor Plus app on my tablet to see the shot while setting up, making sure that we got as close to the edges of the table as possible. And by the way, the Monitor Plus app is an incredible tool if you are a Sony user. You can get the free version, but in order to really get the full potential of this app, it costs about 20 bucks, which is an absolute bargain for what this app provides. The tools and control you get over your camera are well worth the price. I'm actually using it right now on my phone while filming this talking head segment. So if you're a Sony user, I can't recommend this app enough. Once we had the camera set up, we had Michael run through the same actions as before. We had him flip through some of the most colorful and active pages, all while I was monitoring from my tablet to make sure I was getting what I needed. The biggest priority of this book was a hidden timeline of Michael's career, from how he was able to start as an artist with a day job to a full-time traveling creator. So we made sure that the entire timeline fit on the table and gave it some breathing room so that way it could have its moment in the spotlight. Afterwards, Michael closes the book and leaves it on the table one last time right before it ends on his logo. And because I forgot to film close-ups of that timeline, we took my camera down from the stand and filmed a couple more shots to make sure I got the details I needed. I filmed these at 120 frames per second to smooth out the shots as much as possible. But that about wraps it up for what went into shooting this promo video. This shoot overall took just under 4 hours to finish. To leave you guys with a final thought, I highly recommend planning everything before showing up to film projects like this, or any projects for that matter. Having a rough edit in your head and a shot list will help you stay on track and keep a smooth flow throughout the day. If you guys found value in this video, please leave a like and drop a comment below. Let me know how you would have filmed this differently. Last but not least, remember to hit that subscribe button for more photo and video tips in the future. As a thank you for lasting this long, here is a 15-second Instagram edit of the video. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.